back, local storyteller Jenny Lee was on the show with her story about Hannah Cranna, a fun and spooky story that we heard from many of you about. You loved it. Jenny Lee is back with a new tale to tell.
The stories of New England are full to the brim of all manner of strange and wondrous folk. Some good, some bad, some a fair mix of the two. But some of the figures that haunt our tales stand in the ranks of the downright evil. Today, I'll tell you of a particular brand of evildoer that used to haunt our shores. They were called wreckers. Have you heard of them? These evil men were the scourge of all honest and good sailors, feared just as much as pirates and almost as much as witches, which is saying something. Down Cape, we used to call them moon-cussers, because they only went about their wicked business on moonless nights. And their business was this. On the darkest of nights, these men would prowl along the shorelines, holding lanterns and looking for ships out on the sea seeking safe harbor. And when a ship was spotted, they would hold aloft their lanterns, Judas lanterns they used to call them, and guide the ships, unsuspecting as they were, onto the shallows, where they would be wrecked and broken up on the rocks there, and sink beneath the waves. The wreckers then would scavenge any treasure that might wash ashore from the unfortunate vessels, filling their pockets with the gold of dead men, and sometimes even finishing off the poor, odd, unfortunate sailor that might have made it to shore. I heard of one such wrecker. Harry Mayne was his name. They say he lived up in Ipswich town, and he used to ply this very same trade on a bar of sand called Plum Island, just a little ways down the shore from the town. Now, the old folks used to say that Harry Mayne had made his living in just about every disreputable way you can imagine. In his time, he had been a smuggler, a thief, a gambler, a highwayman, a debtor, even a pirate. But it wasn't until the end of his miserable life that he made his name for himself as a wrecker on Ipswich. Now, the old folks used to say that 2 out of every 3 wrecks off the coast of that town could be credited to him. And there were rumors of a huge treasure begotten from his evil deeds that he had amassed somewhere hidden in Ipswich. But no amount of gold can stop nature or the weight of a life ill-lived from taking its toll. And if Harry Mayne did have a king's fortune of stolen loot hidden somewhere in Ipswich, it did him little good when he finally died and was buried in an unmarked grave somewhere on Plum Island. For all the ill he had lived, he went fairly peacefully, as I heard it said. And the good people of Ipswich were a bit put out, feeling it slightly unfair that he should have gotten off so lightly for all that he'd plagued them. But they needn't have worried long. Let it never be said that the devil doesn't come up with fitting punishments for evil souls. And that old Nick, he outdid himself with Harry Mayne, for after he died, the devil tied his soul to that very same sandbar in Plum Island and cursed him for eternity to stay there and spend the rest of forever binding huge chains out of sand. Day after day, night after night, every minute of every hour, Harry Mayne's ghost could be found on Plum Island, pushing and hauling great piles of sand this way and that way up and down the length of the bar, until he had great chains laid out side by side in nice neat rows all the way down to the shoreline. But the devil likes his jokes, and it seemed to tickle him, especially when he found that Harry had made some progress and had a particularly lovely set of sand chains all laid out on the shore, to send a huge nor'easter to blow across the bars of Ipswich and blow away all his fine work in the gales. When the storms kicked up, it said you could hear the ghost of Harry Mayne screaming in frustration, his howls and cries coming all the way up from the bar, spreading all throughout the town of Ipswich. Even now, it said, when the winds kick up and the nor'easters blow across Ipswich, and the winds begin to howl, the old people of the town will jerk a wary chin in the direction of Plum Island and say, in whispered tones, "Old Harry Mayne's grumbling at his work again." Now, Harry Mayne isn't the only devil-doomed sandbinder on a coast of New England. And this isn't the only story in which he and his fated treasure might feature. But I'll tell you those another time.
Jenny Lee is a history teacher, folklorist, and storyteller from Cape Cod.